Shenzhen just turned flying cars into public transportation, while America is still arguing about whether they're legal. And I'm not talking about some tech demo you watch on YouTube. I'm not talking about a billionaire's toy that might be available in 2030. I'm talking about a $41 Uber ride that flies over skyscrapers, lands on a mall rooftop, and doesn't have a pilot. While you're sitting in traffic on the 405 wondering if autonomous cars will ever actually work, Chinese citizens are opening an app, paying less than the cost of dinner, and stepping into an autonomous flying taxi that takes off vertically. No joke, no future tense. Right now. Here's the part that should make you uncomfortable.
Right now.
The ride that costs 41 bucks in Shenzhen would cost you twice that to sit in gridlock for an hour in Los Angeles. Same price. One gets you stuck behind a brake-checking Honda Civic. The other gets you airborne over a city of 13 million people. That's not a gap in technology. That's a gap in what a society decided was possible and then actually built. You're paying the same amount of money for two completely different centuries of infrastructure. One society said flying cars are the future and made it cheap enough that normal people use it on a Tuesday. The other society said, maybe we can add one more lane to the highway and hope that fixes it. Think about what $41 gets you in an American city. A half-hour Uber ride if you're lucky, a parking spot for the day, a mediocre lunch. In Shenzhen, it gets you a vertical takeoff, a route over the skyline, and a landing on a building you couldn't even drive to. The psychological difference is staggering. In America, we've been conditioned to think of flying cars as something that will always be 5 years away, something only rich people will ever touch, something that belongs in a movie. In Shenzhen, it's already boring. It's already cheaper than a decent steak. It's already something you do when you're late for a meeting. But it gets so much worse when you see what they did to distance. Shenzhen to Zhuhai, neighboring cities. By car on the highway, that trip takes 3 hours of stop-and-go misery. 3 hours of brake lights, toll booths, trucks cutting you off, construction zones that have been there for 5 years. Shenzhen just launched a commercial flying taxi route that does it in 20 minutes. 20. You could leave your apartment, fly to another city, grab lunch, and fly back before your American counterpart even makes it halfway through the same commute on the ground. They didn't improve traffic. They deleted the concept. They looked at the problem of congestion and said, we're not going to solve this on the ground, we're going to solve it by leaving the ground entirely. And here's what that means in practice. The average American spends 54 minutes a day commuting. That's nearly 400 hours a year. That's more than 2 full weeks of your life every single year just sitting in a car going nowhere. Shenzhen just made that obsolete for anyone willing to pay the price of a decent dinner. They turned a 3-hour nightmare into a 20-minute flight. If you scale that across millions of people, across hundreds of routes, you're not just saving time, you're giving people back weeks of their lives every year. That's not an incremental improvement, that's a civilizational leap. And here's the thing nobody's saying out loud. This only works if you redesign the whole city. You can't just drop a flying car into the same infrastructure. You need places to land. You need charging stations in the sky. You need air traffic control for low altitude. You need regulatory frameworks that don't exist yet. You need insurance models. You need maintenance facilities. You need a whole new layer of urban design. In the United States, it takes years of lawsuits and neighborhood meetings just to build a helipad on a hospital roof. I'm not exaggerating. There are hospitals in major cities that have been trying to add helicopter landing capability for a decade and still haven't cleared the legal hurdles. Shenzhen looked at that problem and injected $1.7 billion to adapt the entire city. They built over 1,200 VERTIPORTS landing platforms in 3 years. 1,200. They put them on shopping malls, on parks, on hospital rooftops, on office towers, on apartment complexes. They didn't wait for the market to build infrastructure. The government said, this is the future. Here's the money, make it happen, and it happened. You want to know what humiliation looks like at scale? It's the fact that Shenzhen built 1,200 futuristic landing pads for passenger drones, while most American cities can't even fix the potholes on the street you're driving on right now. It's the fact that they built an entirely new layer of transportation infrastructure in less time than it takes most US cities to approve a new bike lane. They're not incrementally better. They skipped an entire dimension of the problem. They went vertical while we're still arguing about horizontal. Now, think about what happens when you put thousands of these things in the air at the same time. In the US, that would be chaos, mid-air collisions, regulatory paralysis, endless safety reviews, congressional hearings about what happens when one of these things falls out of the sky onto a suburban neighborhood. Shenzhen built an AI system called SILAS that functions as the digital brain of low-altitude airspace. It uses artificial intelligence to manage millions of potential routes and thousands of simultaneous vehicles without them crashing into each other. It's live. It's working. It's routing passenger drones around buildings, through weather, across the city, in real time. It knows where every vehicle is, where it's going, what the wind conditions are, where construction is happening, and it adjusts everything dynamically to keep the sky from turning into a demolition derby. Meanwhile, the FAA's computer system for managing regular planes keeps collapsing and grounding flights across the entire country. We've had multiple nationwide ground stops in the last 2 years because the system that routes commercial jets literally crashed. Not the planes, the computers. The ones that are supposed to prevent disasters. Those computers are running on code that's older than most of the pilots flying the planes. And we can't fix it because the bureaucracy is so calcified that even basic updates take years to implement. China built a cybernetic air traffic control brain for flying cars. America can't keep the existing system for Boeing jets from crashing. But here's where it goes from impressive to geopolitically ugly. Shenzhen didn't stop at city limits. They just launched the world's first commercial cross-border flying car route, Shenzhen to Hong Kong. You do customs at the takeoff vertiport, you get in, you fly over the border, you land 20 minutes later in another country for $113. Think about what that means. They standardized international airspace for passenger drones. They negotiated the legal framework between 2 separate governments with 2 separate legal systems. They built the customs process. They integrated it with immigration databases. They made it boring and routine. It's the equivalent of being able to skip the entire line at the US-Mexico border by hopping in a passenger drone and flying over it while everyone else sits in their car for 4 hours. Except we didn't build that. They did, and now it's normal. The implications of that are staggering. If you can move people across borders this easily, you can move goods, you can move medicine, you can move anything light enough to justify the cost. Shenzhen just proved that international drone logistics isn't a future concept. It's a solved problem. They built the legal architecture, the physical infrastructure, and the operational tempo to make it work. And they did it faster than the United States managed to write the rules for domestic drone delivery. Amazon has been trying to get FAA approval for widespread drone delivery for over a decade. Shenzhen is flying people across international borders. Here's the darker thing nobody wants to admit. This isn't just about cool gadgets. It's about what happens when one country decides the future is non-negotiable and the other decides every new thing has to survive a decade of litigation first. Shenzhen moved faster on flying taxis than most US cities moved on e-scooter regulations. Let that sink in. They went from concept to regulated cross-border commercial flying taxi service in the time it took American cities to argue about whether bird scooters should be allowed on sidewalks. We spent years debating whether people should be allowed to rent electric scooters. They built a functioning flying car network with over 1,000 landing sites. The psychological damage of that comparison is hard to overstate. It means that when Chinese engineers and urban planners see a hard problem, they assume it can be solved, and they solve it. When American engineers and urban planners see the same problem, they assume it will take 20 years, cost 10 times the budget, and probably get killed by a lawsuit. One system is built for speed, the other is built for caution. And caution loses when the race is this fast. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This stuff is probably unsafe, rushed, built with cheap components and no real testing. No way it's actually reliable at scale. No way it meets Western safety standards. Except the safety record so far is spotless, the vehicles are certified under the same airworthiness standards Europe uses, and the operational tempo is already higher than anything a US company has even proposed. The idea that Chinese infrastructure is shoddy and dangerous is a comforting story we tell ourselves so we don't have to face the uncomfortable reality. The uncomfortable reality is they're building things that work, at scale, in the real world, with millions of people using them, while we're still beta testing. And here's the honest complication. The US has companies working on this. Joby, Archer, Whisk, Lilium in Europe. Serious players with serious funding and serious technology. Some of them have vehicles that are arguably better than what's flying in Shenzhen right now. The tech gap isn't the problem, but they're trapped in a regulatory swamp that makes launching anything in American airspace nearly impossible. Even if the technology works, even if the money is there, even if the product is ready, it has to survive the FAA, local governments, NIMBYs who don't want noise, liability concerns that make insurance nearly impossible to get, and a political system that treats new things as guilty until proven innocent. Every single innovation has to fight through years of hearings, environmental reviews, safety certifications that require proving a negative, and community approval processes that give veto power to anyone who doesn't like change. Shenzhen didn't have that problem. The government decided this was strategic, cleared the path, deployed capital and regulatory speed that no American city can match, and told everyone else to get on board or get out of the way. So yes, American companies might have comparable tech. They might even have better tech, but they're trying to launch it into a system designed to slow things down. And speed is the entire point. If it takes you 10 years to deploy something that your competitor deployed in 3, it doesn't matter if yours is 15% better. They're already iterating on version 2 while you're still waiting for approval on version 1. And here's what should terrify you. This isn't happening in isolation. Shenzhen is the same city that became the drone capital of the world, the same city that became the electric vehicle capital of the world, the same city that builds more robots than anywhere else on the planet, the same city that went from a fishing village to a tech megalopolis in 40 years. They have a pattern. They pick a technology that looks impossible, they decide it's strategic, they throw resources at it, they clear every regulatory and financial obstacle, and then they scale it to the point where everyone else looks slow. They did it with drones. They did it with EVs. They did it with solar panels. They did it with high-speed rail. And now they're doing it with flying cars. The pattern is what matters, because if they can do this with urban air mobility, what else are they doing right now that we think is still 10 years away? What other impossible thing are they quietly turning into a $41 service while we're still writing the feasibility study? Because that's the real gap. It's not that they're smarter. It's not that they have better engineers. It's that they have a system that can move from idea to deployment at a speed that makes Western bureaucracy look like it's moving underwater. So here's the question you should be losing sleep over. If China can go from 0 to a functioning flying taxi network with over 1,000 landing sites, international routes, AI-controlled airspace, and millions of passenger trips in 3 years, what else are they building right now that we think is still science fiction? Because the gap isn't in the gadget. The gap is in the willingness to build the world around the gadget. And that gap is widening every single day. You're stuck in traffic wondering why your city can't even fix the roads. They're not fixing the roads. They're leaving the roads behind. And we're not even in the same race anymore.